Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Bricks King podcast, where I'm going to bend your ear about Lego, review those amazing bricks of plastic, and discuss what is new and up and coming around the Lego world. I'm your Minifigure host, Matt. Let's build on it. Welcome in, everybody. How are we doing today? Hopefully you're doing well wherever you are around the world, and today we're finally kicking into some of this Lego City greatness that I've had here for probably the last week and a half, just waiting to get some time to get to it. So that's what we're going to do today. No more time to waste. Let's go ahead and kick right into it. And the first one we're going to talk about is a pretty good price point at $20 here, 20 euros as well. And we're talking about the Penguin Slushy Van. 60384 is the set number. Now, we have had a lot of vehicles in the past of similar price, similar kind of frame and style. And they, you kind of look at them and you can, okay, yeah, it's cool. I like it. It's different. This one is kind of different. I do like the way this one is done. So this is supposed to be, your little Slurpee, your slushy truck your van that you got going on here. It has a really cool paint scheme. You have two different colors of the Azura color in here. You have the very lighter color and then the medium color that you have in here as well. This is kind of like a lowrider. This actually sits lower than some of the vehicles that we've had in the past, or at least it feels lower. I believe kind of like you've got these side skirts that are running down the side along the frame. So not lifted or anything like that. We low riding with the Penguin Slushy Van. So the biggest thing that you notice right out of the gate with this thing is the front. The front is absolutely adorable and super cool looking. It is the penguin face, a penguin face, not like the Batman penguin, but it is a penguin face. You've got this piece that is turned upright, kind of facing the wrong direction because you got, studs pointed to the front here. And so you got the beak of your penguin here. You've got the little side tiles that are here, and then you have the yellow and amber lights, which are, kind of nice to kind of give you that feel of maybe a penguin, colorful, to a certain degree. Then you have the tile eyes that you have here. They're the black tiles that just have the little white dot. And then you have a rounded half circle tile, the 1x2 here. That is supposed to be, the space in between the eyes and, the head or whatever. Then you have this gorgeous rounded front end, which is, it's the hood of the vehicle, but at the same time, it is also supposed to be, like the top of the head of the penguin, man. So as you move back, you've got your windshield. This is a 6 stud wide vehicle, but it does only have one seat. It is dead center in the middle of the vehicle, which is not that bad. It's it works. So as you move further back, obviously you have your doors. They're in black here, the standard 1x3 doors that you've got that have been around. It seems like forever. They were definitely around in my childhood. So then just behind that, you have some uprights that are here that are holding the top of the roof section of this vehicle. And then obviously as you move further back, you have other parts that are holding it up. But you do have a sticker that is here. You have 4 fruits that are on here. You have blueberries, strawberries, grapes, and green apples. Those denote the slushies or Slurpees that you can get from this vehicle. So then if you dive kind of into the vehicle, well, on the one side, if you're looking at it from the front, it would be the left. If you are driving it, it would be the right. So from the front, the left side opens up to give you access in there so you can put a minifig, you can get your guy out of there, you can put him in there. Maybe you got 2 that are going on in there. Maybe, you just want to have an animal in there hanging out with him or something. Maybe a squirrel has snuck in and is getting to the slushies, Anyway, you have that opportunity to be able to open this up to place minifigs and such. You do have the big old trans blue windows that are in here. Really nice to be able to have that. And then down the back end of that, you have 2 red lights and a another amber light. Same on the opposite side, except this giant door swings open. Along the top, you have magenta tiles that go up here because that is the very top of your vehicle other than the roof that is going to sit on it. So inside of this area, you've got, pretty good space to be able to set up a minifig and such. You've got 8 little studs that are in there, a 2x4 that you can essentially see. It's not just a 2x4, but it is down in there. So you do have, like I said, spots for your minifigs. In here, you have 1x2 translucent bricks. You have one in the darker blue, a red, like a neon green that you've got in here, and a magenta color, a purplish color that you've got going on. And then they use the modified 1x1 brick that has kind of like the bar that is running parallel with the brick. And that is supposed to be like your dispenser. They use the grill 1x2 grill pieces here in orange. That's supposed to be the little grate that is at the bottom. If you over pour it, it goes down in there. And here's what I really thought was interesting. So if you've ever looked at this kind of stuff, everything has air vents and stuff like that, exhausting vents and stuff. And I thought it was really cool that they actually used the fairly newer, I think it's been around now 2 years, but the 1x2 plate that is 2 plates thick and has kind of the ridge around it on the outside. We've seen them like in straw bales and stuff more recently. So it's a nice little inside. Now on the opposite side of the vehicle, what you have is you have a sliding window that does open up. They kind of use these little track pieces that we've seen in many things, especially with sliding doors and sliding windows. So this does open up. That is essentially where your guest is getting their slushie from. So as we make our way around to the back, you do have your license plate sticker that is here. You've got your sticker of your slushy penguin guy that is on the back. It's kind of cute looking. I really like the way that is done. So on the top of the vehicle, you do have this giant kind of canopy piece that is going on to cover where your driver sits. It has a little bit of overhang on the front windshield, has a sticker on each side. The stickers are identical, just slowing a slushy with kind of like this pow idea to it. Think of like a old Batman comic, the old Batman TV show a long time ago. So then you get to this really cool top piece. The rear section of this where you have your the roof. The roof of the vehicle. You have this giant built slushy canister cup, whatever you want to call it. And this is in the, they use these rounded trans darker blue pieces here, and then it has a clear top to it. I really like the way this is done. It is on a clickable hinge. It can either go flush with the top or it can go one click upward. So it has this upward angle to it. It has a magenta wing across the back. So your van has kind of this idea, like it's got like this aerodynamic fin on the back. It's kind of neat. This does spin around. It is held into place by a pin that has a brick attached to it. Then we move on to the minifigs. Your slushy guy has the same slushy print on his chest that you have for the sticker that is on the sides of the canopy for the driver. He comes in that kind of like that medium azure color. And every time I say azure, I'm like, is it azure? Is it azure? Is it azure? Like, it just never comes off the tongue the right way. Anyway, he does have magenta arms. He comes with a slushy bottle here with the red trans color here. And then he's got his penguin head, same color as his torso and legs. He only has a print on the front. There is nothing on the back. He only comes with one face, and it is a happy face, which is super important. Then we move on to our customer, your cute little customer that you have here. She's got her big old puffy, not ponytails, but she's got her big old puffy, like bun pieces on each side of her head. She has two faces. She has a smiley face. And then this face is adorable to me. I love this. It's the one where the mouth is open. You can kind of see the top few teeth. And then she also has a slushy bottle as well. Hers is in that darker trans blue. And she's got a really cool looking print that is on here. It does have, it's kind of, her shirt that she's wearing has a ruffle across the top, if you will. And then she has a strawberry and blueberry on her shirt. She's got some wavy lines on the front and back of her shirt. She comes with the mini legs as well. It's supposed to be like a summer type top where a tank top. There we go. She's got a tank top that she's wearing essentially because her arms are yellow. Really cool set. Really like it for $20. Just a lot of fun. And it brings a different kind of color and idea to it, especially with the slurp bottle on top of the vehicle. So let's move on to something else because there's a whole lot to talk about. The next one I want to move on to is the recycling truck. 60386 retails for $30 here in the United States and 35 euros. Hello, good night. That is crazy. Has 261 pieces, and it's actually kind of a unique little set because the great thing is you get a play build with it and you get the truck, plus you get 3 minifigs. So let's go ahead and talk about the build of the little side set piece, and then we'll get into the truck. Alrighty, so the cool thing about this little set piece is you essentially have different recycling containers. One is a trash can, one takes paper, and the other takes what is supposed to be glass. Now, it is on one of the new road plates, not new, but one of the fairly new road plates. It's in that green. You do have a little tree, a little solid tree that comes here. But the neat thing about this is you have 3 different colored trash cans. Green to match the stickers in front as well. Green for your trash, blue for your paper recycling, and the dark bluish gray for your glass recycling. They each have a door on each side, actually, that the trash cans can be taken out so that, well, your recycling truck dude can load them into the recycling vehicle. So, that's kind of nice. I don't know how you necessarily put, vegetable matter and the other stuff together in the truck, but hey, whatever. So you can open those up. You can pull out the individual trash cans, and in the trash cans, you've got some plant pieces in the green one, some green tops that are in there. In the blue one that takes the paper, you have a 1x2 tile that is printed. It's supposed to be like a notebook page. It's got some writing that is inscribed on it. And then you have your other can, which is your glass. And inside the glass can, you just have some clear cheese wedge pieces that are in here that are just supposed to be, maybe broken glass. That's kind of what it felt like that's supposed to be in there. You could take one of the bottles that Lego has made in the clear or the green color and put that in there. It's completely up to you if you have any of those laying around. So that kind of makes up whatever is going on with that. Your truck. This is probably one of my favorite builds that Lego has done in some time with their trucks. If you're talking about a $30 price point, we'll talk about what it's worth and everything when we get there. But this has been by far probably my favorite set as far as a $30 price point at this, with all the new things that have come out. This is incredible. So let's go ahead and talk about what you've got with your truck here. In the front, you have a squared off front nose. It's just a flat front nose. When I was a kid, I hated those trucks. I was like, that's so ugly. That's weird. And then of course, part of me is like, where's the engine? Which, you learn at some point where the engine is. Anyway, it has a sticker on the front bumper. The windshield, believe it or not, is flat as well. They use a flat kind of that trans gray piece that they use sometimes. And then you also have some of those on the side, and you have a 1x2 trans of that same color brick that, because if you've ever been in a truck or seen a truck like this, they've got that window like at the bottom of the door so that they can see out. So, you're not running somebody over or something. Anyway, your top comes off. It is just one spot in here for the driver. He can be held in by 2 little studs instead of 4, which, the van we just talked about, you can actually have 4. So they're really into place. It does have that kind of solid mold blower that is on the back just to the rear here. I don't really know why that's there. I understand it's supposed to be where the engine is, but my God, if the exhaust is blowing straight into the cabin, you're in for some trouble. Anyway, so the roof piece does come off. has some amber lights that are up there, those rounded amber lights, and has what is supposed to be like an antenna for, maybe his CB or whatever. You do have one exhaust pipe just to the rear of that, and it is kind of somewhat connected to the engine. I wish we would have had two because it leaves an empty spot on the other side. You have a recycling sticker. If you're not familiar with what a recycling sticker looks like at this point in your life, I suggest you go look it up, Google it. It will tell you. Moving further towards the rear, obviously, we have our giant cargo area for all of our trashy belongings and everything everything of the way, all that kind of stuff. I don't know what I'm trying to say at the moment. But what is really neat is we've got this kind of darker aqua color that is going on. And that is basically the entire back end of the truck, which really looks good as is comparing to the white front and kind of the darker bluish gray and light bluish gray around the bottom. Really, really sharp looking. Now, the cool thing is some trucks have that, rounded edge on the kind of like the barrel of the trash container, the trash receptacle, the compactor. They did that here, and it's a gorgeous way that they did it. It is a version of studs on the side so that you can actually get in there and be able to do what you need to do, honestly. But the cool thing is this actually does... There we go. It does actually pop off so you can get to the trash on the inside if you want. It is only held on by two simple studs it's a 1x2 brick that has two studs that are open. So you can pop the side off and be able to get in there if you so choose. You don't need to. However, it's kind of that candy cane look on the inside. You have the 1x6 tiles that they've got going on in the white and the red the whole way down the inside. So you clip this spot back on and you can actually see some of the tiles that stick out just below. It's actually really cool looking. It's a nice different contrast of color. So you clip that thing into place. You actually have a clip just to the rear of that before you get to the angling with the slope pieces that are used to get the gorgeous back end of the truck. So you have a clip on each side for the tools. It does come with two tools that we'll talk about with the minifigs. So let's go ahead and get back to the very rear of this thing because that is the main focal point. Everybody needs to know what the trash thing looks like, right? So your entire canister can lift up. It can lift way back so that you can dump this puppy. It actually is able to be not clipped down, but studded down. It's attached by a single stud on a 2x2 modified tile. There we go. It has the one stud in the middle. Anyway, so that can be, emptied that way. Then the next part of it, you have your big white assembly here. It's got two red cheese slope pieces up here that are supposed to be like the rear lights, the brake lights, because you don't really have brake lights around the bottom. That lifts up. It is clipped in at the top. That can be lifted up when you go to dump if you want it to. You don't necessarily have to, but that is the best way to be able to do it. So that goes up and down. It actually fits nice and snug against those slopes, which is gorgeous. Then we have two stickers in that red and white kind of candy cane pattern at an angle, which we usually see on construction vehicles, usually around the back or sometimes on the sides or on like road construction signs that we get with the city theme from time to time. Then your mechanism that you have here to be able to flip your canisters in and empty them is really cool looking because the best thing about it is you can clip on your trash can because it uses that 2x2 modified tile that has the single stud in the center. And there is actually a handle, a little steering wheel. We've seen these kind of used as steering wheels or whatever. Or think about it if you were doing piping or something like that. And this is supposed to be like a round valve to open things. So that just simply allows you to dump this thing. It does have a forcible spot where it does stop, where it hits that door section, the compactor section. It does stop it at the top, but it does dump it in there quite well, believe it or not, because you attach your trash can and it attaches perfectly. Up it goes, down your stuff goes. And the last thing on the side of this thing, you have two little handles that just like the antenna that you have up top, they are, the garbage guys or recycling guys. They have these little handles that lift the back end, dump the back end, do all kinds of different things. So the truck is super duper cool. I'm really impressed the way it turned out. A lot of fun to build. And my God, the play features in it are just incredible. So then we move on to some minifigs. You have your civilian here that is just kind of going to take stuff to the recycling bin. She's got the big old kind of puffy hair that's got all these textured ends to it. I love the way this is done. That's in a nougat color that we've got going on. She has two faces. She has a smiley face, and into the rear, she's got eyes closed and, lips closed as well. Just maybe thinking about, I did a good thing dropping the recycling in there. She can carry a bunch of different things. I put the ticket in her hand, just like the instructions showed. I'm kind of like, okay, what is the ticket for? Did she find the ticket? Is that what's going on? Did she just manage to use the ticket, or what's really going on here? So then we get on to your two garbage workers that you've got going on. We have a male and a female. Your female and your male both have the same torso print. They kind of have that spring green color that they've got going on here. The light bluish gray sleeves. She has a, wavy kind of 50s, 60s style hairpiece that is going on where it's kind of blown out at the bottom. A single face for her, and not anything really smiling, just kind of like, it's another day. I'm a trash person. I'm a recycling person. Not that that's a bad thing. Not at all. We need those people in the world. Anyway, she comes with a broom. And then we've got our dude. He comes with a blue hat. He has a single face as well. Got a kind of a grayish beard that is going on. He's smiling. He's got a shovel as well. And both of their prints on their torso, which I forgot to mention, is kind of like a safety vest that they've got going on. We also get a white cat here, which is, the cat's just hanging out on top of the dumpster. Maybe it's kind of like Heathcliff, he's looking for fish skeletons, fish bones or whatever, something like that in the trash can or recycling can, whatever. I don't think people are recycling fish bones, but good luck, kitty. So the set, like I was saying, is really, really neat. I still have my last recycling / trash truck from, I believe, 2009. 2010. It was in all orange. I still have that thing put together. I kind of like these kind of trucks in the way that they're done. But this is actually much bigger than the last one that was done. But what is really nice is you can grab this by the center section and you can really play the bejesus out of this thing. I really like the way that it is done. And, kids are going to love this thing. And for a $30 price point, I think you're actually getting something that is very much well worth it. You're a little over the 10-cent mark at about 11.5, but that's not too bad. I think eventually you think of like stores that sell this thing, it's like 20% off. You're paying like $22, $23 before tax. And it's like, oh yeah, that's an absolute. Next, we got to move on to our Lego City gaming truck. We get a gaming truck finally. A semi, a lorry, whatever you want to call it, depending where you are around the world. And I love the color scheme in this. You get the neon green, you get the black with some white accents. It is absolutely gorgeous in the way this is done. So your truck in the front, your tractor, I guess the lorry is in the front, right? I'm not quite sure on the British terms. However, really cool, but really, really small, a very condensed version. It's almost like a yard truck that they use to move trailers around and distribution lots and stuff like that. So in the front of this, you do have a sticker on the bumper, obviously. Then they actually use a neon green Nexonite shield, and then they use that triangular tile, which I love, in the green as well, that neon green. No doors here for this because it is so short, but what you end up doing is you have your big old grayish windshield here. Now there's two ways that you can approach this. You can take it off at the windshield and have the roof of the cab come with the windshield, or depending how you grab it, if you were to hold onto the windshield, you can just remove the roof piece. So there's really not a right or wrong way. It is completely up to you how you do it. But on the cabin roof, on that roof piece, you've got a minifig head that has a headset on for gaming. Nice little sticker that they have here. But to the rear of this thing, you just have your little catch that they use to take your pin, your axle from the trailer and you're carrying that thing off. Not a whole lot to the truck. Now the gaming trailer, my favorite thing about this, yeah, there's a lot. So let's go ahead and talk about the exterior first before we get to that gorgeous interior. So the sides are pretty much identical. When you open it, you'll find out that there's different things on each side, but to the very front of this, there is a gaming trophy that is behind a trans green windshield piece, like a cockpit windshield piece in here. And it just folds down. I guess if your gaming champion wins, you pull it out. It's got a round 2x2 brick that is in that same color as the windscreen here. And then you, believe it or not, have a golden hilt that attaches to a black gaming controller, but it's not printed on. It's just plain black, which is kind of neat, honestly. So we've got some slopes that are the big old slopes that are on the side of it. Minifig with the gaming headset on, stickers that go on each side. Majority of this is black. You've got the neon green accents that are going on. But before we move down any further than on the sides, you've got this big old spinning sign that is up top. It uses some plates and such, some angled plates, and it's supposed to be a video gaming controller. You've got your D-pad here, and you have your 4 different colored buttons. And again, that does spin around. It's just pinned in up there. It's kind of nice. Now, moving down the side, we have our giant single panel doors. I know, right? It's hard to believe that you end up with a 16 stud long giant, plate for the door. That's not usually something that happens. So you open that up. By the way, we are on the driver's side. If you're here in the United States, it would be the left side if you are the driver. So you open that thing up, and what you notice is you have 2 massive stickers on the underside of this. You have one with a minifig that has a blue hood and has a katana in one hand, and then the other one, you've got the boxing mitts, the bad guy sometimes hands that are going on in there. And then you've got this kind of devil minifig that you got going on. You got some horns, and it's in orange. It's kind of crazy looking. Anyway, so just underneath that, by the way, on the opposite side, you have the same exact door, but when you open it, it is a little bit different because you don't have the minifigs, plus you see the naked backside of this thing. So on the inside, what you have is you have 2 minifigs sitting at a gaming computer. You see the screen, you see the keyboard. I don't really see the computer, but what is great is this is on click hinges and it actually slides out to the side. So they are actually playing. And then, so where the big stickers are, that is, I think, supposed to kind of be like the screen or something like that. But what is really neat, you kick out these minifigs on their gaming computers, and then you have this giant window that is here inside the gaming truck, which is on the opposite side where that other big door opens. And you have your 2 different stickers on sliders. Same stickers, same characters that are on the big monitor stickers that are on that giant door. But they can be slid back and forth in there nice and loosely, because what is going on is, I guess in this gaming world, they are fighting each other. So you get this kind of 2D battle game. I think of like Street Fighter or something like that, Double Dragon. These guys are going back and forth at it, like, hi-ya! And, attacking each other and stuff, throwing magic powers and such like that. So it's really kind of neat. Up above that, you have 2 red modified 1x1 plates that have like a claw, if you will, a flat claw that sticks down there in the bottom. And that is essentially your scoring marker. If you think about like the health on a game like this, your character's health, you just can essentially, you slide that across the axle and, it could be like, oh, it gets to the bottom. Oh, and you get the, the music where like they're dead, but it's nice because you do get a health bar up there. It is a 1x4 tile in 2 different colors. It's the same as the gaming individuals with their character colors, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. So the last thing, if you pull around to the rear of the truck, you have a step up here for the rear so that your minifigs can step up, amber lights, red lights that you have in the back, but it does open up out to each side, and you've got the weapons in here that the characters are using. You have the big old gloves in that magenta color, and then in that is one of the azure colors, you have a katana that's in there. You've got a keypad that is in there. It's a print, by the way, on a slope. And then you have each of the characters on a 2x2 tile that are stuck to the door. I think this is maybe like, I don't know, they managed to get their weapons or something like that. I really don't know how this is supposed to work necessarily, because they are just playing a game. So like I had mentioned, you can close that up. But on the opposite side of the big door, you have another big door. And like I said, you have your character sliders that are over here in red. And then you have your energy bar or health bar that is up at the top. So let's go ahead and talk about the minifigs, because the minifigs are super important, right? I mean, it's a big deal. So your blue gaming character, he's got blue legs. He's got an azure colored top that has a katana print on it. It's got some other slant lines that are on there. He's got this big old hair piece in that blue color. I love it. And that spiky hair piece, it's gorgeous. I love the way that it is done. Wearing glasses, his mouth is agape on one side, and on the other side, he's kind of got a smirk. I don't know if that's like a smirk, like, oh God, I'm getting my butt kicked, or you know what, I'm about to whoop your butt. Either way, it's still really cool. Then we move on to our other gamer. This is a female, and she's got a fairly newer hair piece here. It's a very, very much like curly hair. It's in that magenta color. Her legs are in the magenta color. She's got an orange torso that has that big old bulky hand piece. That glove piece, that's in magenta as well. She's got, I think this is dark red, the color that she has for her sleeves. Anyway, she's got two different faces. She's got one where her teeth are kind of gritted, just like that, you know, and you're kind of speaking out the side of your mouth like, I got you now, you're in trouble. And then on the opposite side, she got a frown, because maybe she just died in the game. I don't know. Maybe she just lost the match, which, you know, that's never a good thing. Then we move on to your truck driver, your host. And I say host because he has a microphone in hand, kind of like I do. Well, I don't have mine in hand. It's just in front of my mouth. You know, I'm spitting all over the thing. Anyway, he's got a black microphone that he comes with, dark bluish gray legs. He's got the lime top that he's got going on here. And then it is a print of the same thing, the minifig head with the gaming headset that is on here. He only has one face. He's got some stubble of a beard that is going on. His mouth is wide open. He's like, yeah, you know, getting into it, you know, telling the crowd what is going on. And he's got a very bumpy style hairpiece here in black, which I don't know. It's a weird texture issue for me. Just from my eyes alone, I'm not a big fan of it. Then we move on to your last minifig. You've got dark forest green that is going on here for the top that has some bars that are, if you think of like a graph, a bar graph that is, you know, you've got those that are going on in a few different colors. White legs. She's got two different faces. Her hair piece, the way it comes down, we'll talk about the faces in a moment. But the way her hair piece comes down, this is a darker nougat color. It kind of like leaves an idea of like the ears are there. Like the hair is kind of wrapped around the ear and falling forward. She has two different faces. She does have one that is very, very gleefully happy, where she's like, this is awesome. And then she has one where kind of elation. Her eyes are closed. Mouth is open, but you know, she just seems like, like that. Then she is carrying a device. It is supposed to be some kind of phone computer, you know, handheld computer, right? That's essentially what an iPhone and Android phone are at this point in time. So she does have this, or that, I should say, in her hand. These sets are absolutely gorgeous. I mean, I love the way that these are done. I could not ask for like a price point here at that $40. Not bad. Oh, I totally forgot. The gaming tournament truck, 60388. I was just so excited. It has 344 pieces, retails for $40 here in the United States and 45 euros. Really cool builds, really cool sets. I mean, if you really stop and think about what you're getting some really solid stuff so far. So we're going to talk about one more, and then the rest, we've got another show coming up, so you'll have to catch up with that one. Before we move on, we've got to take a quick ad break. Hang with us. We'll be back in a moment. So the very last one that we're going to talk about today, just today, because I know you're jonesing, right? The last one that we're going to talk about on this episode is the Custom Car Garage. It is 60389 Custom Car Garage. God, this is such a cool idea. I love it. Has 507 pieces, $60 here in the United States, and it's only 50 euros, which, it's what a big swap that is considering what we just talked about with some of the others. So let's go ahead and dive a little bit deeper into what this thing is, because it does have a lot of cool stuff, and my God, the playability with this is phenomenal. So first things first, not only do you get a really cool playset with swappable pieces, you get some really cool looking cars, and the minifigs are not bad at all. So let's go ahead and talk about the cars first, because they are wicked. God, these things are cool. So the first car that I want to talk about, he's got two different front pieces, by the way, and two different rears. So you can clip them on, remove them however you so really just desire. So the first car up is our flame orange color that we've got going on. Love the way this is done. The big front end of this car, it almost feels like a Dodge Viper. It's got that big old fiery flat end, big old kind of chunky stuff in front of the front wheels. Really, really sharp looking. Anyway, so this clipped piece, the one that is on the front of this right now, which the instructions kind of say, hey, clip this into place. So what you have is the 1x2 grill pieces, the bricks that are used there. You've got a magenta slope on one side, cheese wedge piece. And then you've got this weird, 1x1 modified tile that has the half short bar on it. We see those they actually come, not in this color, but they come in different colors, but they were used in the slushy van for the tops of the drink bottles. So you have some of that orangey, flame orange color, flame yellow, whatever you want to call it, color here. You have the quarter round tiles. You have a 1x2 cheese slope that is here as well. And then you have some quarter tiles again for the front headlights that are kind of, I don't know why they're in that trans blue, but whatever. So you've got this big old black hood piece that is on here. And then as you move to the rear, they use a weird looking grill piece here that is supposed to be like the vent just in front of the windshield, which is kind of cool. But the nice thing is when you take off the hood of this thing, you can actually pull out the engine that is in here and swap it if you so choose. You can do whatever you want with it. You can put in a new engine if you want and, go vroom, vroom, whatever you're doing as far as your, racing days or, your stunt show, whatever is going on. So down the side, we have a 1x4 brick that has a rounded edge in towards the center. I love the way that is done. You have stickers on each side of it, and those are supposed to be like almost if you would imagine like Wolverine slashing at something with his 3 claws. That's kind of what it looks like. Or you could look at it as like talons, whatever. Just underneath that orangey color, you have magenta. It goes back to orange again and then black. So I like the color tone that is going on there. You have a swept back windshield. The windshield for the front and the rear are absolutely identical. They are in that trans gray that you have. Another piece here, kind of the same piece that is used for the hood, except this is printed for the top of this thing. It's got a big old wolf on it. I love it. It's so cool. The wolf's got his teeth hanging out, got the possessed eyes, got the tongue hanging out. It's just sharp looking. So getting your minifig down to the cockpit, you're going to have to raise his arms up quite a bit because it is a deep cockpit because it's a race car. So as we move to the rear, you've got another clip-on rear end, just like you had to clip on front end. And the cool thing about this is you have a rear splitter that is back here, or diffuser, if you would imagine. You see this on different types of race cars. You definitely see it in World Endurance Championships, which I love watching, by the way. Anyway, so you have a license plate that is back here, and it, nothing big. It is a sticker as well. You got a double pair of rear taillights, and then you have this big old fat spoiler that is back here. I love the way this is done. They use the 1x6 tile in black. It's gorgeous looking, really, really neat. Now, if you feel the desire, you can remove that and you can adjust it and, put on the different clips. So here's what the other clips look like. Well, they are very unique. They are much bigger than the last pair. They are super different. But what you notice immediately is the slopes that are used in the front here to get a giant, forward, aero body down, way down close to the ground. It's that giant diffuser that is going here. You've got grill pieces that are here in the front. You have one headlight in the trans blue, and then you have that same red piece that we saw in the other clip with that medium-sized bar that sticks out of it. And I still don't understand what that is supposed to be. It's got to be something. I was thinking maybe that's how they're fueling it. I don't know. Anyway, so as you move to the rear of that, not a whole lot going on because it's really the main part of it. If you look at it, is the very big front slope that it has for that giant spoiler, if you will, not spoiler, diffuser. The rear clip is absolutely massive as well. It has two giant magenta 1x6 tiles that are supposed to be used as a giant spoiler. They have a solid piece that is used. These are the same size as the windows, not the big old windows, but the 2x3 size panel windows. But these are in solid black, and you have this big old area. My God, I can fit 2 fingers inside of here for the air to come through. As you move to the rear of that, you have 2 red taillights. These are in the 1x2 red, the trans red. And then you have another license plate to the rear. It got some magenta slopes, the 1x2 slopes that are the reverse slopes. It's going from shorter in the rear to the fatter towards the top. And then you have another diffuser that is on the back end here, which actually looks really nice. Now, the cool thing about it, as I had mentioned about the engine, you can swap the engine, take it off the dyno, take it out of the shop, and, here you go. Here's your new engine. And the neat thing about it is it actually, you don't put the hood back on when you put this engine in because there's no room to cover it. But it is on an angled piece here, and it uses this fairly new 1x2. We're going to call it a brick, but it's got a plate on the top, a plate on the bottom, and 2 bars in between those plates, and it's got the open studs. This is actually the piece that is used to clip on your front and rear ends, and then it also has that bottle top as well that has the mini bar in light bluish gray. So you can plop that engine in there however you want. The great thing about it is, same with the other car, they are completely swappable. You can get however you want, so many different combinations, so many cool ideas to be able to play with and race these things, and they really hold well in the hands of a kid, of an adult like myself, the big giant kid that I am. So let's move on to the next car. So the next car has another really cool combination that's going on. You've got that teal color that they use here a lot, some magenta and a lot of black. The great thing about this one is one of my favorite things is it's got the gold rims with the black tires, just a different kind of color that you go for. Almost Speed Champions-esque, just a smaller version. So the front clip-on piece that they use here has this big old fat area. You've kind of got this little splitter in the front, but they use a fairly, not a new piece, but a unique piece in here. It is a 1x4 modified plate scoop. However, it's got kind of some fins that face upward, and then it's got no studs on the top of this thing. They use cheese wedge pieces here in the teal color, and then they have a black large old plate that is up here, and then they use that trans blue color in another tile, and then in the quarter tiles as well. So you've got the option there to make it kind of look like lights if you want. Definitely not something that you need to do. Now, the thing about this car It is not meant to have the engine swapped. You technically could do it. It just doesn't really come apart that well. Not really meant for that. But it does have a slope here in that teal color, and then that not a teal, I just said teal. It's got a black slope piece that is one solid piece with another grill piece attached to that on the top. It's supposed to be, your exhaust or whatever, not the exhaust of the vehicle, but the venting of the engine, getting all that extra air in there. So as you move down the sides, you have that 1x4 brick that is sloped upward, rounded here. And the stickers that are on here, I like these better, honestly, because it's supposed to be like a sea dragon. And the sea dragon's got like I don't know if it's supposed to be a laser that's coming out of its head or it's taking an impact, but it is really sharp looking. Sticker is identical on each side. Then you get to the roof piece here, and it's in black, but it is printed again. You've got some hexagon figures that are in here, which actually are on top, obviously, the print. Really looks sharp the way that is done. Again, you've got to drop your minifig in here. You got to have his arms up quite high because it is a deep well seat. Just behind that, you could go open top with this to a certain degree because there are the 1x2 modified plate that has the bar across the top. We usually see these as like the back of seats or something like that. If they're going to put like a seat in and not a real seat, this is kind of what they go for. Then you've got this big old fat piece that is up here. We usually see these as the shoulder pauldrons. We talked about these on the mechs on a couple episodes ago. This is in black. Here is where your engine is. It's not in the front. It's in the rear. So you can remove the engine back here, not in the front. You could do a double engine if you so choose. It's just going to look a little bit funky, but you can pull that in. You can drop in the other engine that we just talked about. Real easy to swap. I love the tiling that is over top of the wheel wells. You've already got the slant, the very short, very gentle slope of the wheel wells. And then you end up with this absolutely gorgeous slope in the teal as well above the wheel well. So the rear clip-on piece of this, you've got 4 little tiny exhaust pipes. They are bars that are attached to 1x1 round plates that are sticking out. There's 2 on each side. You've got your diffuser that is in the rear as well. Same piece that we talked about in the front of this clip. Then you have your license plate, another sticker, of course, the inverted 2x2 slopes here, the inverted slopes, some more tiles, some more red lights that are in the back. And then you've got this big old 2x6 tile for the rear spoiler, the wing that is on here. Really cool design that is on here. It essentially looks like a bunch of, like a rack on a deer. You can kind of look at it that way. But it is a really cool thing to have. So the last 2 clips that come in this set, I really like this set. I should say I like the front better than I like the rear of this one. Anyway, so in the front, you have an upward slope to where your engine is taking in air at the radiator here. You've got the 4 printed 1x1 round tiles that have, we've seen these on the off-road vehicles where it's supposed to be like the light cover. Says light. It's got minifig eyes that are just above that, kind of, scary looking. Got some tiling as well. And then again, it rounds out everything with the quarter round tiles, the quarter tiles that are used here. The other piece in the rear is actually really kind of different to a certain degree. This one does actually have a spoiler. I've been using diffuser and spoilers interchangeable, but whatever. Wing and interchangeable. You get the point here. But they use 2x2 cheese wedge slopes here, and they are in the teal color. The back end of this is mainly black. There is a magenta 1x4 that is in here to kind of break up the black. Has 2 little red lights is back here. You also have your license plate, but they use these cheese wedge 1x1 cheese wedge pieces in here to get where this one giant piece is. It's a 1x6, and the 1x4 part of it is a plate, and then it is an inverted slope. Now the cool thing is how that is inverted and the cheese wedge piece is facing like it normally would. you get this little area in here where you can imagine like air is coming through. It's giving you that extra downforce, or however you want to play with it. I don't have to tell you how to play with it. It is completely up to you. So the next thing we've got to get to the set build. The set build is really, really cool. It comes into 3 different pieces. You can actually maneuver this about however you so choose. And well, I mean, I shouldn't say however you so choose, but for the most part, you've got to kind of centralize how you've got everything. So the cool thing about it is you do have racks that you can actually put your extra front and rear clip pieces onto so that you can hold them. Really simple build, but it's nice to be able to store them. You don't have to worry about being like, okay, I took them off, I just have to sit them aside. You actually do have a spot to put them. So the other thing that comes with this, the other side pieces that are attached to this, you have a big old sticker that is on a flat paneled piece that sticks above. It's just got a wheel. It's got the old style smaller wheel that has a really tiny white center. I had those as a kid, so many of them. Anyway, you have these spinnable bricks that are in here, and these are printed. These are printed and they are gorgeously done. So it's supposed to be an example of each of the cars. This one is the ladder car that we just talked about. And what is kind of neat is you can actually get both cars. I lied. I absolutely lied. I forgot on the opposite side. However, you can get an idea of what it's going to look like. You can switch this thing around. You could get a different idea of what you could do to each car. I love this. They just spin around and it's essentially a blueprint the way it's done. It's in that dark blue color. I love this. I absolutely love this. Just a really cool feature that is going on. So the other half of the build, you do have your car rack here where you put your car up on the jack stand, not the jack stand, where it rolls up onto what is supposed to be the lift. This does not lift up, but you do have your angled tiles here to be able to get it onto that spot. And it actually does not roll off because it does have these little rounded tiles, these little rounded 1x1 tiles that are supposed to be like a brick, 2 plates tall. Anyway, so you can put your car on there, do what you're going to do, change the clips, change the engine, however you want to do it. You also have another rack here for your double clips as well for your vehicle. Then just to the side of that, you have your spot where you can store your engines. You've got a tool here. You've got a coffee cup, which is important, I guess. You do have some bottles here in a magenta and a teal color, which you can use to, maybe it's grease, maybe it's some kind of other fluid or whatever. Then you have 4 clips that are down here below. They are actually the clips, not the, when I say clip, I'm thinking of like race car when I talked about the front and the rear clips. And those are essentially how race car pieces, body pieces go on. They go in one giant section for the majority of sports car racing. Anyway, so you have a couple different wrenches and stuff here, a socket wrench that is going on. And then you have a sloped brick here, and it does have a tile on it. It does have one of the race cars that has that one in that flamish orange yellow color. And it's just, kind of like a draw up mock of what the vehicle is going to look like. It is supposed to be like somebody had sketched it out. So the last few things that you have with this set, you do have the 4 minifigs, which we'll talk about uno momento, but you do have this rolling cart that has some tools in it. It's got your grease gun. It's got your drill. It's got your tire iron that is going on here. It does have the wheel pieces on the bottom, and it's got, some other tools in there, screwdriver and such. So that's nice to have as well. Your minifigs, one of the coolest ones. Here we go. We're talking about impaired individuals, people that, have had a harder time in life. This young lady, I believe, has a wheelchair. She's got a yellow wheelchair, but she is still doing it. She's got a torch, maybe it's an oxyacetylene torch that she's got going on here, and clips into her hand. And then on the rear end, it kind of clips onto the back end of her wheelchair. I love her magenta hairpiece. It's really cool. She's got a magenta printed welding helmet as well. She's got two different faces on her. She's got kind of like a smirk. And then on the rear side, she's got one eye open, one eye closed. And she's kind of like going, that whole thing, the wink, the nod, whatever. So really cool minifig to be able to get there. Her printing on the front, she's got a flaming tire that is going on with like a jean jacket idea vest that is going on. Your other minifig, you've got to have your drivers, right? You got to have your drivers. So your drivers each come with a helmet. One is a white helmet, one is a red helmet. Doesn't really matter how you pair them. But your drivers kind of go with each car because their driving suit, whatever their garb is that they're wearing, is pretty much exactly the same colors. So the dude that the car that we talked about first, this guy has the same color for his torso. Got some cool printing that is on there in a teal color. He's got a brown hairpiece that he's got going on. He only has the one face, which he's smirking. He's got some dirt on his face because, he is working on the car, swapping the engine, swapping the clips that are going on. Then we have a female that is here. She's got her sunglasses on. We've seen this for cops and stuff like that before. She's got a teal hat. This is dual molded with the black piggy tail ponytail that is on the rear. It's been a long show, y'all. Anyway, black pants here, and her torso is in the teal. She's wearing a purple shirt with a little red design in there. And on the back side, she's got some striping that is supposed to be across the back of her jacket. The hairpiece here, this is that weird, funky black hairpiece. It's like kind of like textured on the top, and it's completely flat around the sides. It's supposed to be like that high fade. I was accustomed to that before I started losing my hair, and I went pure bald, shaved it all, not bald. But anyway, he's got orange glasses on because, safety first, safety glasses. He's wearing an Octan suit, believe it or not. It says Octan on the back, a little Octan badge on the front because he's got to stay clean. He's more than likely your mechanic. Or, he could be the guy that is drawing out the plans because there is that little black piece, that little black pen. And yeah, it's that little kind of like lipstick piece, as you could call it. The last tiny piece, I almost forgot to mention this. It was sitting off to the side and I totally forgot about it. You have your engine lift here. They use 1x2 bricks that are modified that have the little clicky ends on each side. They use 3 of them here, and you can clip your engine in there however you want. It comes on some rolly wheels here. They're not actual wheels. They're like the Technic. They receive pins and such. Anyway, really cool build, really cool set. The playability in this is almost endless. There's so much that can be done. At a $50 or €50 price point, I like it there. At a $60 price point, just a smidge high for me. Again, if you can find it at 20%, go for it without a doubt. Even at 60, I still think it's well worth it. And just because you get some really cool cars, you get a really cool set build. The printed pieces alone are kind of unique. Some of you are going to be like, well, that's stupid. I don't know why you would want those. You could create your own garage and kind of use those. It's just really kind of cool. But I really love the idea that you have the removable front end and rear end, removable engine pieces. You could even make your own little 2x2 engine piece to go in there. You don't have to just use these. And I like the idea that it is opening that up for kids. It's opening the door to really kind of step in there and say, you know what you can do? You can do this. You can take your engine and do this as well, which is really cool. So we've got another episode coming up following this one. It's going to be the second part of the city stuff because we're almost at an hour. We've got so much stuff that we've covered and stuff, and there's still 3 other large sets to discuss. And then also it's going to be a little bit further down the road. I've got a bunch of the other smaller vehicles that we've got to discuss as well that are built that are, taking up so much room here on my studio desk. Just I'm running out of space. So it's coming. We're going to do the bigger ones next. And then we'll, here a few episodes down, we'll get to some of the smaller ones because we've got to get to Friends. We absolutely have to get to Friends. We got to get to Speed Champions and a few other things. So that's going to wrap up this long show. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it took you, wherever you wanted, on a long drive. You're going to work or whatever. You're cleaning the house. Something. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I'm out of here. And as always, I'm your minifig host, Matt. Let's build on it.